First time in 63 starts, he threw for at least 300 yards, multiple touchdown passes, no turnovers. Stephen A., can Mark Sanchez keep this up?
Oh, that remains to be seen. I'm going to be inclined to say yes because I think he's got the support of Chip Kelly along with a big-time offensive unit that's going to help him look good, which was the antithesis of what he was experiencing in New York City with the New York Jets. The fact is you've got Jeremy Maclin, you've got a Riley Cooper, you've got a Brent Selleck, you've got a Darren Sproles, you've got a LaShawn McCoy, you've got an offensive line that's continuing to work themselves back into being effective because obviously they went through a plethora of injuries at the early part of the season, so they weren't going to be themselves. But when you have all of those pieces combined with a coach like Chip Kelly, who's incredibly innovative offensively, that quarterbacks tend to look good playing for him, I think that goes a long way. And when you're somebody like Mark Sanchez, who Chip Kelly says is in the film room, he's studying, he knows the playbook backwards and forwards, understands what the man wants from him. And obviously, he's familiar with Mark Sanchez because Mark Sanchez played at USC and he was coaching at Oregon, and there's some familiarity there with the Pac-12. The reality is that he's going to stand to benefit. So when I consider the talent that's surrounding Mark Sanchez, it's something that he never had at his disposal in New York City, Skip. So I think it's incredibly possible that he can continue to keep this up. The schedule won't be easy. Got a couple of big-time games coming up against Dallas and the Giants and, the Redskins as well because there's divisional foes. But in the end, I think that if you're Mark Sanchez, you just have to do your job. And I think he's fully capable of doing that.
So it sounds like Stephen A. Smith is back on the Sanchez bandwagon. Is that fair to say?
I'm not going to say I'm back on the bandwagon, but I'm going to say that even when I was off of it as it pertained to him being a New York Jet. I never said he couldn't be a quarterback. I said he needed to leave New York because that wasn't the environment for him. Okay,
it's obvious to me that it sure sounds like in Mark's mind that he died with the Jets and effectively went to offensive heaven with Chip Kelly. He loves this offense. He loves being there. He loves the quick tempo. He loves the weapons at his disposal. He's in an extremely new, happy place in his life. And I'm thankful for his sake that he got not just a second chance, but this is about as good a second chance as a man could fall into coming out of that Jets situation. I get all that. But back to Kerry's question, will he keep it up? Wouldn't his history tell you he won't be able to keep it up, albeit with the Jets, albeit? Those were very good defenses he had that had his back, and that running game that he had with the Jets was always pretty to very good. His history would tell you that for every touchdown pass he throws, he would throw an interception. That was his history with the Jets. And with the Jets, he did put the ball on the ground 45 times, 45 fumbles. He lost 20 of them, including the infamous you-know-what fumble on that infamous Thanksgiving night against the Patriots.
You could say butt fumble. You can say butt fumble. It's okay.
You know what? For his sake, it's like, hadn't he outlived it? Like, is that going to be his legacy in the NFL? Is the butt fumble? I don't know. But coming off
Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be his legacy, but how do you outlive or how do you omit somebody fumbling the ball because they literally run into an offensive lineman's backside? I mean, how do you erase that from the memory?
I get it, but I hope Mark Sanchez lives another 100 years. But will his obituary be Mark Sanchez, he of the butt fumble? Is that how it will start? It's got potential to me. Okay, so back to the question here. He had a great night last night in his first full start with the Eagles. He did throw through a couple of picks against Houston when he was thrown into the fire in place of Nick Foles at Houston. But I think his stats last night were a little misleading because his QBR, and this is why I love this stat, 0 to 100, was only 61, Stephen A. Smith, which is just a little above average, because he threw 17 incompletes last night. He was just 20 of 37. So his percentage was not great. And I think we have to put it in perspective that he benefited from a Panthers team that turned the ball over on 2 of its first 3 offensive plays and looked like they were the walking dead last night for much of a football game in which they gave up the touchdown return on the punt by Deron Sproles. They gave up a pick 6. Sproles scored on an easy little counter play down in the red zone. Philly's been bad in the red zone. So I don't know. I'm going to wait and see until you omitted this game. This coming Sunday, Mark Sanchez and company have to go to Green Bay. So that'll be interesting. Let's see how he fares at Green Bay at 4:25 Eastern. Let's see how he fares if his running game gets shut down. Do you realize last night, this is like an overlooked crazy stat, that the Eagles ran the ball 23 times for a total of 37 yards last night, and LaShawn McCoy went 12 times for 19 yards? If I had told you that at the base yesterday when we were making our pick, that LaShawn will only go for 19 yards in this game, you might have leaned toward picking Carolina, or at least calling it a really close game. I certainly would have. Well, let's see how Mark Sanchez fares if he has little to no run game at Green Bay, because his history has been that he can be emotionally fragile. He can come apart psychologically. We've seen it before, and I think we might see it again. Now, obviously, I've got a different horse in this NFC East race. I've got the Cowboys. So do I think they'll be better off with Mark Sanchez than Nick Foles? I think Mark's a little better athlete than Nick is. That's just me. But I don't think they'll be better off. I just don't think. I think there are going to be some haywire moments here for Mark Sanchez coming up down the stretch.